Hello there, this video is going to be about editing, and it's going to be a little bit more complex editing maybe with luminosity masking and focus stacking, but I have been trying to make that more accessible and easier for everyone. And I recently made a little panel with my friends at Zoom.nl, which is a Dutch photography company, community. They also have a magazine, and we made a little panel that makes these things a little bit more accessible and easier to use. And the great thing is it's absolutely free. Everyone can download it. There's also educational material included. It's also in Dutch. Well, we first did it in Dutch, but now it's also available everything in English. So everything is in the description, how to download it. But yeah, let me tell you a little bit about it. So here we see the panel in Photoshop, and we are at the stacking tab here, and you see there's only one button, and this button says stack photos, and it stacks all the photos that you have at the moment in Photoshop. So normally I go from Lightroom into Photoshop, I bring my photos there. So here you see 5 photos, for example. I don't even have to select them actually, it just uses all the photos that are here. You click stack photos and they are all getting stacked immediately. So what it does, it basically does what I do normally. It aligns the photos, it blends them, it stacks them together, but not only that, it also keeps your original layers in a backup stack. So normally I do all these things manually, and now I build it in one action here in one button. And as you can see, it takes a while because, focus stacking is not the fastest depending on your computer and depending on how many photos you load. And it also has to duplicate, create the backup stack, but it does everything in one click, which for me is very useful because now I don't have to manually do all these clicks. So it also says here creating the backup group. And the nice thing about the backup group, I will show it very soon, is that it also aligns the layers already. So it's almost done, auto blending, done, stacking complete. So you can see now everything is sharp from front to back. It stacked all the photos. By the way, if you want to see how I shoot in the field focus stacking, I also have a YouTube video about that, how to set that up on your camera. But this is how you can combine it in editing. Basically, the panel has one click here, and it's super easy, right? So here you can see also the backup stack. So it's already aligned. So if we remove this one, we can see here's all our layers from the foreground all the way to the background here, and so we can reuse them if there are errors in the focus stack. And the nice thing about this panel is that you have a learning tab where you can see also longer videos, like this one is going to be here as well in the learn, and also the new. So the panel is just released, so there's not much stuff yet, but it will occasionally be updated quite frequently with new stuff. And here you can also see my panel is now up to date. It will turn orange if it's not up to date, and you can just download the new version, double click it and install it. The focus stacking, very useful for me. Then the other main thing is the luminosity masking. For people who have used panels with luminosity masking, this looks a bit familiar. Of course, I do want to mention that over the years I have been using many different Photoshop action panels. My favorite one actually being the TK action panel. But these panels often have so many options, and lots of options I don't need. Lots of options are maybe a little bit scary for beginners, you could say. So yeah, we developed a very simple free panel it's a little bit aimed at beginners, you could say. And of course, the focus stacking function also for myself. I have been using that for a while myself. It's just so easy, and it's just nice to, for you guys that find that interesting, that you can also use that. I try to make it more accessible by putting it into steps. So here we have step 1, the selection. So here we can do a luminosity selection with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more defined selections with every number. And luminosity masks allow us to do very specific selections based on luminosity, which, for example, Lightroom cannot do that well. It can do it, but not do that well as in Photoshop. So here we have our luminosity mask. Step 1 is do your selection. Step 2 is you modify your selection. You don't have to do that, but if you want to modify your selection, you go to step 2, click on levels, for example, and modify your selection a little bit here. And then at step 3 is the output. And I often put a curves or a levels adjustment on the selection, or you just output the selection. So let's do a levels, for example, now. We click it, and then that selection will be outputted as a levels mask here, levels adjustment with the mask on it, right? So we can click the levels here, and then we can adjust it. So you see now we can create that deep sky that I often do in my photos, the deep colorful sky, by only adjusting the perfect luminosity of the sky, in which case it adjusts the lighter luminosity more and the darker luminosity less. And we can see that here in the sky, we can create that deep sky that way. But the options in luminosity masking are of course endless, and I make more videos about that as well. But in this video, I just wanted to show you how you can use this simple panel that can do the focus stacking in one click and your luminosity masking. So you can download the panel right here. I will put the link here in the video and in the description. And there's also a whole guide of how to use it. And there's even a big PDF included with an article exactly how to use it. And especially if you're a beginner, make sure to check the installation help here. There's a whole every step to install it. Also if you have issues and all that. So yeah, let me give you a quick presentation and summary of why this panel could be useful for you and how it makes luminosity masking and focus stacking easier. So why do we need this? Lightroom, of course, can do a lot. I have a full Lightroom course that I show you how much Lightroom can do. And to be honest, I use for a lot of shots only Lightroom. But Lightroom cannot do everything. Sometimes it stops, right? Focus stacking, Lightroom cannot do. And if you want to do complex little adjustments based on luminosity, Lightroom cannot do it. The final touch, I often call it. Subtle edits that just give that little bit of extra magic to your photo. Here's an example of an edit in Lightroom. I, in purpose, did it a little bit darker. This is also in my Lightroom course, by the way, my full Lightroom course. Make sure to check it out if you want to learn everything about Lightroom. And here's the edited version that I show the light and show the shadow detail. And basically, yeah, bring the photo to life. I always say that when you edit your photo, you bring your photo to life. So make sure to check out my Lightroom course if you're interested in my Lightroom edits, lightroomlandscapes.com. Now back to the panel. So like I said, focus stacking with one click. Here on the left you see one shot, and on the right you see a focus stacked shot, everything sharp from front to back. Then luminosity masking. Here you see on the left an edited photo in Lightroom. But yeah, I was already with my highlights all the way down, and I can bring more glow and more life sometimes in Photoshop with the right luminosity masking, like I showed you just now as well when I was editing that sky. I have a very defined selection of not a completely selected sky. No, only the brighter parts are selected. The darker parts are not that much selected. It's a very smooth selection that gives us the possibility to create this dreamy look in photos. Well, we can combine multiple exposures as well in a very nice, subtle way with luminosity masking by doing a selection on a channel, like on the lights tool, for example. We select it and we blend in a darker exposure there. So here we can see that. We get again a very good contrast in a photo, and a little bit dreamy often because of those very soft selections. Here's an example in a dark cityscape. So here we have a normal exposure on the left here, and we see that the lights, the highlights are very blown out. I took a darker photo where we can see that it's not, the lights have the details on them. And then in the edited version, I combine them, and you can see here the lights are very well preserved, the detail. And it's just two shots blended together with a luminosity mask. And we can also pull out more details, for example, in the Milky Way shots. So we can very carefully select the certain parts of the Milky Way and give them a little bit more brightness or color. It gives us the ability to edit Milky Way shots very nice with luminosity masking. So yeah, it's an ongoing project. The panel will get updates very frequently, and for me it just makes my editing a little bit easier. And I also plan to do more videos on how things work, so I hope you stay tuned for that. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I am sure that many of you have questions, so please drop them in the comments below. I will try my best to answer all of them. And yeah, thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.